Hello, Mark. My name is Joy. My student number is S0441015, and I'm a freshman. I'm going to read a speech titled The Four Fish We Are Overeating and What to Eat Instead by Paul Greenberg. So when I was a kid, this was my thing. Laughter. I stuck and sport. I didn't like to play them. I didn't like to watch them. So this is what I did. I went fishing, and for all of my growing up, I fished on the shore of the Connecticut, and these are the creatures that I saw on a regular basis. But after I grew up and went to college, and I came home in the early 90s, this is what I found. My thing had shrunk. It was like literally having your roster devastated. And as I sort of looked into that, from a very personal point of view as a fisherman, I started to kind of figure out, well, what was the rest of the world thinking about it? First place, I started to look at fish markets. And when I went to the fish markets, in spite of where I was, whether I was in North Carolina, or Paris, or London, or wherever, I kept seeing this weirdly repeating chart of four creatures again and again. On the menus, on ice, shrimp, tuna, salmon, and cod. And I saw this was pretty strange. And as I looked at it, I was wondering, did anyone else notice this sort of shrinking of the market? Well, when I looked into it, I realized that people didn't look at it as their thing. Ordinary people, the way they look at the seafood was like this. It's not an unusual human characteristic to reduce the natural world down to very few elements. We did it before. 10,000 years ago, when we came out of our cave. If you look at 5 pigs from 10,000 years ago, you will see raccoon, you will see, wolf. You will see all kinds of different creatures. But if you telescope to the edge of, 2,000 years ago, you will see these four mammals, pigs, cow, sheep, and goats. It's true of birds, too. You look at the menu in New York City, restaurant 115 years ago, 200 years ago, you will see snipe, woodcock, grouse, thousands of ducks, thousands of geese. But telescope ahead to the edge of modern animal husbandry, and you will see four, turkey, ducks, chicken, and geese. So it makes sense that we head in this direction. But how have we headed in this direction? Well, first, it's a very, very new problem. This is the way we have been fishing the ocean over the last 50 years. World War II was a tremendous incentive to arm ourselves in a war against fish. All of the technology that went perfect during World War II, sonar, lightweight, polymer, all these things were redirected toward fish. And so you see this tremendous build-up in fishing capacity, quadrupling in the course of time, from the end of World War II to the present time. And right now that means we are taking between 18 to 19 million metric tons out of the sea every year. That's the equivalent of human weight of China, taken out of the sea every year. And it's no coincidence that I use China as the example, because China is now the largest fishing nation in the world. Well, that's the only half of the story. The other half of the story is this incredible boom in fish farming and agriculture, which is now, only in the last year or two, starting to exceed the amount of wild fish that we produce. So that if you add wild fish and farm fish together, you get the equivalent of 2 Chinas created from the ocean each and every year. And again, it's not a coincidence that I use China as the example, because China, in addition to being the biggest catcher of fish, is also the biggest farmer of fish. So let's look through any 4th choice we are making right now. The first one, by far the most consumed seafood in America and in much of the West, is shrimp. Shrimp in the wild. And a wild product is a terrible product. 5, 10, 15 pounds of wild fish are regularly killed to bring 1 pound of shrimp to the market. They are also incredibly few inefficient to bring to the market. In a recent study that was produced out of Dalhousie University, it was found that dragging for shrimp is one of the most carbon-intensive ways of fish that you can find. So you can farm them, and people do farm them, and they farm them a lot in this very area. Problem is, the place where you farm shrimp is in this wild habitat, in mangrove forests. Now look at those lovely roofs coming down. Those are the things that hold soil together, protect coast, create habitat for all sorts of young fish, young shrimp, all sorts of things that are important to this environment. Well, this is what happened to a lot of coastal mangrove forests. We lost millions of acres of coastal mangrove over the last 13 or 14 years. The rate of destruction has slowed, but we are still in a major mangrove deficit. The other thing that's going on here is a phenomenon that the filmmaker Mark Benjamin called grinding Nemo. The phenomenon is a very relevant to anything that you ever seen on a tropical reef. Because what's going on right now, we have shrimp dragging for shrimp, catching a huge amount of bycatch. The bycatch in turn gets ground up and turned into shrimp food. And sometimes, many of these vessels, manned by slaves, are catching these so-called trash fish that we would love to see on a reef, grinding them up and turning that into shrimp feed. An ecosystem literally eating itself and spitting out shrimp. The next most consumed seafood in America, and also throughout the West, is tuna. So tuna is the ultimate global fish. This huge management area had to be observed in order for tuna to be well managed. Our own management area, called a Regional Fishery Management Organization, is called ICAT, the International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tuna. The great naturalist Carl Safinak often called it the international conspiracy to catch all the tuna. Of course, we see incredible improvement in ICAT in the last few years. There is total room for improvement, but it remains to be said that tuna is a global fish and to manage it, we had to manage the globe. Well, we could also try to grow tuna, but tuna is a spectacularly bad animal for aquaculture. Many people don't know this, but tuna are warm-blooded. They can heat their body 20 degrees above ambient temperature. They can swim at over 14 miles an hour, so they pretty much eliminate all the advantages of farming a fish, right? A farm fish is, or a fish is cold-blooded. It doesn't move too much. It's upgrading for grain protein. But if you got this crazy, wild creature that swings at 14 miles an hour and heats its blood, then a great candidate for aquaculture. The next creature most consumed seafood in America and throughout the West is salmon. Now salmon got its plundering too, but it didn't really necessarily happen through fishing. This is my home state of Connecticut. Connecticut used to be home to a lot of wild salmon, but if you look at the map of Connecticut, every dot on this map is a dam. There are over 3,000 dams in the state of Connecticut. I often say this is why people in Connecticut are so uptight. Laughter. If somebody could just unblock Connecticut too, I feel that we could have an infinitely better world. But I made this particular comment at the convention once of National Park Officer, and this guy from North Carolina said to me. He said, "You know, you ought to be so hard on your Connecticut, 'cause we here in North Carolina, we got 35,000 dams. So it's a national epidemic. It's an international epidemic, and there are dams everywhere. And these are precisely the things that stop wild salmon from reaching their spawning grounds. So as a result, we turn to aquaculture, and salmon is one of the most successful, and it's from a number point of view. When they first started farming salmon, it could take as many as 6 pounds of wild fish to make a single pound of salmon. The industry has, to its credit, greatly improved. They've gotten it below 2 to 1, although it's a little bit of a cheat, because if you look at the way of agricultural feed is produced, they are measuring pound of the pellet per pound of salmon. Those pellets are in turn reduced fish, so the actual, what's the code of FIFO, the fish in and the fish out, kind of hard to say, but in any case, credit to industry, it has lowered the amount of fish per pound of salmon. Problem is we've also gone crazy with the amount of salmon that we are producing. Agriculture is the fastest growing food system on the planet. It's growing at something like 7% per year. So even though we are doing this per fish to bring to the market, we are still killing a lot of these little fish. And it's not just fish that we are feeding fish to. We are also feeding fish to chicken and pigs. So we got chicken and they are eating fish. But weirdly, we also have the fish that are eating chicken, because the byproduct of chicken, feather, blood, bone, get ground up and fed to fish. So I often wonder, is there a fish that ate a chicken that ate a fish? It's a sort of reworking of chicken and egg thing. Anyway, laughter. Altogether, though, it resulted in a terrible mess. What you are talking about is something between 20 and 30 million metric tons of wild creatures. They are taken from the ocean and used and grown up. And that's the equivalent of a third of a China or of an entire United States of human that's taken out of the sea each and every year. The last of the four is a kind of amorphous thing. It's what the industry calls whitefish. There are many fish that get recycled into this whitefish thing. But the way to kind of tell the story, I think, is through that classic piece of American culinary innovation, the filet-o-fish sandwich. So the filet-o-fish sandwich actually started as a halibut, and it started because a local franchise owner found that when he served his McDonald's on Friday, nobody came, but it was a Catholic community that needed fish, so he went to Red Cross and he said, "I'm going to bring you a fish sandwich, going to be made out of halibut." Red Cross said, "I don't think it's going to work. I want to do a hula burger, and there's going to be a slice of pineapple on a bun. But let's do this. Let's hand a bet. Whoever sandwich sells more, that will be winning the sandwich." Well, it's kind of sad for the ocean that the hula burger didn't win, so he made his halibut sandwich. Unfortunately, though, the sandwich came in 30 cents. Ray wanted the sandwich to come in at 25 cents, so he turned to Atlantic Cup. We all know that happened to Atlantic Cup in New England. So now the filet-o-fish sandwich is made out of Alaska pollock. It's the largest finfish fishery in the United States. 2 to 3 billion pounds of fish taken out of the sea every single year. If we go through the pollock, the next choice is probably going to be tilapia. Tilapia is one of the lost fish nobody ever heard of 20 years ago. It's actually a very efficient converter of plant protein into animal protein, and it's been a godsend to the third world. It's actually a tremendously sustainable solution. It goes from an egg to an adult in 9 months. The problem is that when you do about the West, it doesn't do what the West wants to do. It really doesn't have what's called an oily fish profile. It doesn't have the EPA and DHA omega-3s. And we all think we are going to make us die forever. So what do? I mean, first of all, what about this poor fish, the kelupi? The fish that represent a huge part of that 20 to 30 million metric tons. Well, one possibility that a lot of conservationists have raised is could we eat them? Could we eat them directly instead of feeding them to salmon? There are arguments for it. They are tremendously fuel efficient to bring to market, a fraction of the fuel cost of, say, shrimp. And at the very top of the carbon efficiency scale, they also are omega-3 rich, a great source for EPA and DHA. So that is a potential. And if we were to go down that route, what I would say is, instead of paying a few bucks a gram or a few bucks a ton, really, and making it to a quick feed, could we have the catch and double the price for the fishermen and made it our way of treating this particular fish? Other possibility, though, which is much more interesting, is looking at bivalve. particularly mussel. Now, mussels are very high in EPA and DHA. They are similar to canned tuna. They are also extremely fuel efficient. To bring a pound of mussel to market is about a third of the carbon as required to bring beef to market. They require no forage fish. They actually get their omega-3 by filtering the water of microalgae. In fact, that's where omega-3s come from. They don't come from fish. Microalgae make omega-3s. They are only bioconcentrated in fish. Mussel and other bivalves do tremendous amount of water filtration. A single mussel can filter thousands of gallons every single day, and it is incredibly important when we look at the world right now. Nitrification, overuse of phosphate in our waterway are causing tremendous algae burn. Over 400 new death zones have been created in the last 20 years, tremendous source of marine life death. We also could look at not a fish at all. We could look at a vegetable. We could look at the seaweed, the kelp. All these different variety of things that can be high in omega-3 can be high in protein, tremendously good things. They filter the water just like mussels do, and weirdly enough, it turns out that you can actually feed this to cows. Now, I'm not a big fan of cattle, but if you wanted to keep growing cattle in a time and place where water resources are limited, you are growing seaweed in the water. You don't have to water it, major consideration. And the last fish is a question mark. We have the ability to create aquaculture fish that create a net gain of marine protein for us. This creature would have to be vegetarian. It would have to be fast-growing. It would have to be adaptable to a changing climate, and it would have to have the olive fish profile, the EPA, DHA, omega-3 fatty acid profile that we are looking for. There is this kind of one paper. I have been reporting on this subject for 15 years. Every time I do a new story, somebody tells me, we can do all that. We can do it. We figure it all out. We can produce a fish that's a net gain of marine protein and has omega-3s. Great. It doesn't seem to be getting scaled up. It's a time to scale this up. If we do, 30 million metric tons of seafood, a third of the world catch, stay in the water. So I guess what I'm saying is this. It's what we've been going with. We tend to go with our appetite rather than our mind. But if we went with this, or some configuration of it, we might have a little more of this. Thank you. Applause.